This is Congressman Sam B. Hall, Jr. reporting to you from Washington. How often do you read or hear someone say there ought to be a law? Well, I guess we've all said that at one time or another, especially in a moment of anger or frustration. But a lot of my colleagues in Congress really do feel that every imagined ill in society can simply be cured by the passage of some law. There's only one catch. Who's going to pay for all these laws? That's right, it's you, the taxpayer. I know of very few federal laws that don't cost us something. And once a law is passed, it's pretty difficult to repeal it. And in most cases, it's difficult to keep the funding for it in line. That's why we're facing $200 billion annual deficits. Today, I want to discuss just one example of such a dilemma. That is the presidential retirement system. Now, we have 3 former presidents, and frankly, they fare pretty well, courtesy of the taxpayer. They get free office space, office help, Secret Service protection, money for libraries, and a big fat pension. Less than 30 years ago, it cost about $64,000 each year to help former presidents. We had 2 former presidents living then. As we all know, today we have 3. However, it now takes about $30 million each year to assist former presidents. Frankly, I think this is wrong, and at long last, Congress is beginning to do something about it. Here's an example. Not long ago, during House consideration of an appropriation bill, an amendment was offered to cut a sizable chunk from the allotment for former presidents. I voted for the amendment. However, it did not pass. Another amendment was later offered to cut the allotment at a lesser percentage, and it did pass. Thus, we have at least made a small step in reducing this inflated budget item. Now, I don't think that most Americans begrudge an allotment for our former presidents. It's the amount that we're talking about. When Congress first voted office staff for former presidents in 1955, it was basically one to help former President Harry Truman, a man of moderate means, to help answer the hundreds of letters he received each day. In typical Harry Truman style, he didn't ask for the money, but it was obvious that he was dipping into his savings to write and help all his admirers. In fact, I'm one of his greatest admirers. But each year thereafter, Congress kept expanding the program until it really got to be a big budget item. The biggest budget item is maintaining presidential libraries, which is really something that should largely be done by private donors. Then, too, consider what our former presidents make in speaking fees, guest appearances, and royalties from books. As one of my colleagues pointed out during the debate on this issue, the going rate for a speech by an ex-president is $25,000. That's a pretty expensive speech. Also, our ex-presidents receive an annual pension of $83,000. You know, there aren't too many folks running around with an $83,000 pension, at least not that I know of. It's not a question of putting former presidents in a financial bind. They seem to be faring pretty well. The issue at hand is to stop putting the American taxpayer in a financial bind. That's why I support and will continue to support a reduction in allotments for former presidents. This is Congressman Sam B. Hall, Jr. reporting to you from Washington. Thank you for listening.